But of course, you have been at the helm, even in the former regime, as the minister, as far as the Nairobi development, metropolitan development is concerned. And also, you have been the chair of the Committee on Security and Development. When we talk about insecurity at this particular season, what comes in your mind?
Every time we talk about security, the first thing that comes into mind is a situation whereby people live without any fear of being attacked by anybody. And of course, that is a fear that brings about terrorism. When you talk about terrorism, you're talking about unknown attackers who just come and cause mayhem and cost lives and property and those kind of things. That is basically what brings about insecurity. And I know and I believe when I was a minister for Nairobi Metropolitan, that was one of the reasons why I came up with the issue of CCTVs in Nairobi. Because with CCTVs, you can easily be able to actually monitor these activities and catch these people early enough.
But is it something that really came to life? Because when you go to the city center, you don't get a sense that there are surveillance cameras around.
Well, I'm told that they are yet to commission it, because when I left the ministry, they were still installing those CCTV cameras. But of course, the lighting, the traffic lights are there, they're working. The cameras themselves have been installed. I think I've been seeing them allowed. The only problem is I think they have not been commissioned as yet. And I think once they are commissioned, I think Nairobians should be able to see quite a big difference in security matters.
Well, in the former regime, you are at the forefront. Do you think there's something that the government currently is not doing that it ought to be doing in handling insecurity?
When it comes to security, Mokazi can tell you, it begins with you and me. And the government alone cannot actually be able to handle security on its own without the help of the citizens. And for starters, I think when you talk about, because terrorism is a key thing right now, and that is what you're looking at this country as we speak right now. Terrorism knows no religion. It has no boundaries. Whether you are Muslim, whether you are Christian, once you are in that place where somebody is bombing, it will not spare you because you are Muslim. It will not inflict more damage because you're Christian. I think what is most important is for us all to come together and agree that there is a problem. That is the first step, that there is a problem.
There is a problem.
Yes, and that I think we are in agreement. Then the second one, we have all of us to come and agree that we have to sort out the problem ourselves.
We have to sort out the problem.
Precisely.
First, we agree there's a problem. Second, we have to sort out the problem.
Then how do we sort it out? We sort it out by making sure that we are united. I was very impressed when I saw the former Prime Minister accompany the President when there was this bombing.
During the Westgate
attack. That is what we should actually be seeing. But when we see some leaders in this country talking about their communities being...
yes, of course, it brings us to what National Assembly Majority Leader Adan Duality said to have made remarks to the effect that he's ready to even quit the government because his people, including the Muslims and the people with a Somali origin, are being attacked. What is your take on that?
The first thing I would say is that I think Duale seems not to understand how things go, because there's no way you can start up in matter security and say that your people are being targeted. The fact that the people who are doing these things are terrorists and they do not know who they are going to kill, whatever they target, that clearly means that it's not a question of the community. When the government goes to Eastleigh or in another place, do a mop-up exercise to recover guns and those bombs and apprehend those people, I fail to understand how Duale can think that his people are being targeted. And for him to even say that he's going to resign, yeah, he can resign. There's nothing wrong with resigning. If somebody is unable to do it, he resigns and goes home.
But let's be real here. I mean, he's saying some of those, swoops, you literally go and get hundreds of people sitting around and you arrest them. Well, some of them don't have valid documents.
That is the point, and that is exactly what you're supposed to look at. If they don't have valid documents, who are they? What are they doing in this country? Those are the guys who are coming from Somalia and coming here to attack our people. If indeed there is nothing to fear or nothing to hide, nobody should actually fear giving out the IDs. When you're traveling, you are told to remove your shoes and your jackets and everything. Do you say you're being targeted? I don't think so. What happens is that you have to comply. And I would like to urge the government to go with full speed. Make sure they mop up all areas that they suspect these criminals can be.
You mentioned, Kamau, you mentioned something about the unity, especially with our leaders.
Yes.
This is a government strategy in fighting terrorism, but we have this particular leader, Adan Duale, who feels, no, this is not the best way to handle this matter. What is your advice in terms of making sure that every move the government takes is actually from a unified standpoint?
You know, first of all, let me say this, that when Makaburi was killed the other day, Duale was among the first people to castigate his killing. I have never had him castigate the killings of those people who were killed in Likoni. That is double standards, for starters. Therefore, for us to move forward, we all must come together. The fight against terror must be done by everybody. The entire political field must be united if we have to win this war. There is no option about that.
But what do we do? I mean, what would we do when, you know, there are some Muslim leaders who are in support of Duale. In fact, we have Lagdera Member of Parliament Mohammed Shidiye, Suna East Member of Parliament Mohammed Junet. We even have Mandera Senator Bilokero, who are basically also accusing the government of fueling radicalization by the way it's conducting its investigations. These are leaders with perhaps very valid reasons.
I guess
how do we handle that?
The only valid reason that they can present is only if they can bring evidence of those people who have been arrested who have proper documents. If they have that, then they may be having some little dealings in the way they're doing things. But if there is nobody who was arrested and who they can bring forth and say this person was arrested illegally, I don't think they should condemn the whole exercise massively, simply because the people who are initially, majority of them, are from the region. I think that is wrong.
One thing, of course, that you've said that we really need to take home is the fact that we shouldn't confuse this fight against terrorism as discriminatory,
Correct, yes,
looking at communities or
yes,
different political standpoints. But something else perhaps that we need to explore. There was a shoot-to-kill order to some extent. Do you support that kind of?
Let me tell you this, and I think this is what Kenyans must agree and understand. If you see a terrorist there,
yes,
do you wait for him to kill you? You don't shoot to maim, you shoot to kill him.
I mean, we've had...
If some thieves come in your house
yes,
tonight, are you telling me that I should just wait and call the police so they can come and get the guys? And they have guns, they are going to call the police, kill the police as well? You should kill them. If they are criminals, they are criminals.
If they are criminals.
No
but
question about it.
Sometimes we've had cases where innocent people are also killed in the process.
No, innocent
How do we
people,
balance
innocent
that?
people, you see, for example, if there is a demonstration, right, like the one that was planned in Mombasa, the cause of this demonstration sometimes goes and becomes criminal. The minute somebody moves from demonstrating, which is actually around the Constitution, to go to acts of criminality, then that is a criminal. And that criminal may as well be a terrorist. So with me, as long as it's concerned, I have no issues with that shoot-to-kill order, as long as the person being killed
is a criminal.
Is a criminal.
All right. And of course, something that has always been debated is the fact that perhaps should we consider having our security guards armed, as in the case of Uganda?
I think that may be a little bit dangerous at this time. We will need to do a lot of training to the security guards, because if we arm the security guards, they may turn around and become the criminals themselves. That is my only problem with that. So I think we are not there yet, and I think at the end of the day, it may not be a very good idea at this particular time.
But you do agree that they also play a huge role, vital role in the fight of insecurity. And the general concern has been, you are a security guard. What if you are faced with people who are totally armed? You don't have an arm yourself. How do you handle such a situation?
I agree with you. I agree with you. It's a question of balancing the two now, all right? Because on one hand, yes, some criminals will come and you don't have a gun yourself, so you have to surrender to them. But on the other side, if you use that gun that you've been given to protect other people and yourself to become a criminal and now start attacking the same people you're supposed to be defending, then that goes beyond. So I think in between we can be able to come to a middle ground where perhaps you can say, as long as these guys are totally trained and vetted by the police, then we can consider that.
All right.
Yes. But I think on the issue of Duality, let me just advise him, because he's my friend. My advice to Duality, he may be doing this because, of course, he's a member of parliament. He has his own constituents down there in Garissa. Well and good. But when he's talking, he must differentiate when he's talking as a majority leader and when he's talking as a member of parliament for Garissa. Those are two totally different hats that he's wearing, and he must be able to tell the difference between the two.
Okay, so that's very clear. Perhaps final comments here in regards to, 1 year in office, looking at the activities of Parliament. Perhaps you could give us a general report card.
I want to be very frank with you, and I think recently you had reports that committee chairmen have been allegations of them being involved in grafts. And I think I must say that I'm extremely disappointed if that is what is happening, although I don't have any evidence to that myself. The only thing that I would say to it is that for those people who are claiming that that is the way it is, instead of just claiming, what they should do is to go to Anti-Corruption Commission. We have it there. Present the evidence. But the minute you politicize issues, and simply because perhaps you want to settle some personal scores or political scores, then I think you are going the wrong way. And for starters, again on Dual's issue, because he's one who raised the issue in Parliament, and he's talked about some committee chairs that he thinks are corrupt. I think what he needs to look into is his office first. How clean is his office, even before he starts going to look at other people. And I think that is extremely important. Yeah.
But generally, of course, just in regards to allegations made that, funds, there's misappropriation of funds in the different parliamentary committees, what is your final word?
I would want to say this, because the Speaker made a ruling, okay, on the floor of the House. And I think he talked about the PIC vis-a-vis the other committees doing investigations. And the common wananchi is about to ask, why would two committees want to investigate the same thing? I think, to me, even as a common person, I would ask that question. What is the interest of these members wanting to investigate one particular case? And I think the Speaker made his ruling. I may actually disagree with the ruling, but I will respect it, because it is right to make those rulings. But I think, as Parliament, I must say that we have not done very well. And I don't want to say members of Parliament. I won't talk about the leadership of the House. We have failed terribly. And it's time for us to rethink and see where we missed the steps. Are we competent enough? I don't know. Are we doing the right things? Are we doing things because of some other things that perhaps are enticing us to do it? I don't know. But we must start looking and asking ourselves serious questions and hard questions, and try and start auditing ourselves.
All right. Many thanks. Just to wrap it up, of course, there are three things that you talked about that are really important, and we need to perhaps take this home. The first thing, that we need to agree that there is a problem in regards to security.
Correct.
And that we need to come together, handle that problem.
Precisely.
And the third one, we need to come together and forget about the differences.
Put the political differences aside.
Exactly.
And move together in one direction. That is the only way to finish this problem.
Thank you so much, Honorable Jamleck Kamau, Member of Parliament, Kigumo.